Hello everyone. So today we're going to start another unit called mechanics. That's the area of physics that deals with the movement of objects, the mechanical motion of things. It really is pretty mechanical in the universe in that the motion of everything obeys mathematical principles, and they can be understood quantitatively that way. Today I want to talk about four basic concepts having to do with mechanics. One is speed, and then velocity, which is a little different from speed, acceleration, and force. So we'll be concentrating on these four concepts today. So first of all, speed. Speed is the rate of change of the position of an object. So when you're on the highway and you're going down Highway 285, the needle on your speedometer reads your speed, right? What does it read in? It reads the units of speed that most cars' speedometers read in as miles per hour. The number of miles of distance you move in 1 hour. So for instance, 65 miles per hour, in 1 hour you're going to move 65 miles. So in 2 hours you're going to go, whether it be 130 miles, in 3 hours 195 miles, and so forth. So that's the rate of change of your position on the surface of the earth. That's speed. And there are a number of different units of speed that you can use. Miles per hour is what we mostly use in the United States, especially to describe the speed of cars on the highway or the speed of airplanes in the air. But there are others, like feet per second, the number of feet that an object moves in 1 second. If this is covering 1 foot in 1 second, foot's about that much. If it takes a second to go that far, that is a speed of 1 foot per second. If it covers that foot in half a second, that's 2 feet per second, because it would cover 2 feet in 1 second. So feet per second is another unit of speed. Another is meters per second. A meter is about that much, the standard international unit of distance. So 1 meter per second is a higher speed than 1 foot per second, right? It's a higher speed than 1 mile per hour too. So that's the standard international unit of speed. But you could have others, like kilometers per second. That's a very high unit of speed, right? If something is traveling 1 kilometer per second, that means it's moving 1 kilometer every second. That's not unheard of. I mean, you don't have cars traveling that fast on the road, but you have planets moving that fast in their orbits around the sun. The Earth is moving something like 30 kilometers per second in its orbit around the sun. So these are just all units of speed. Now, velocity is a little bit different concept from speed. It is how fast you're going plus information about the direction that you're going. So let me bring up a picture that's on the reading for today. So here's a picture that's in the reading. This is a satellite photo of Spaghetti Junction, the intersection of I-85 and I-285. And in this diagram, that way is north. They orient the Google satellite images that way, so up is always north. And so if you're traveling through, say you're going on 85, you're traveling 65 miles an hour on 85. You're traveling in this direction on the surface of the Earth. Let me just turn the lights on so you can see this a little bit better on the board. Hopefully this will show up pretty well on the board. So let's say you're going 65 miles per hour. That's the same as 29 meters per second. We use meters per second since that's the scientific way of doing it. That's the standard international unit of speed. So that's your speed, but your velocity can only be expressed if you also have information about the direction that you're going. So here's in the middle of Spaghetti Junction, that way is north, and you can describe your direction as an angle from north. So I've gone clockwise around from north, and this angle, which happens to be 233 degrees, that gives you an idea of the direction that you're traveling on the surface of the Earth, right? And that's called your heading angle. So in navigation, like with ships and airplanes, they use the heading angle. It's their angle from directly north that they're traveling in space. So that gives you more information about your motion in space if you're on 85 going south, passing through Spaghetti Junction. But it's not complete information. It tells you that you're traveling 29 meters per second, and it tells you the compass direction on the surface of the Earth, but it doesn't tell you whether or not you're going up or down, right? If this was an uphill road right here, you'd be getting higher all the time. If it was a downhill, you'd be getting lower in altitude. So 85 is pretty level there. So let's say it's completely flat, so that your elevation angle, the angle pointed up or down, is 0 degrees. And this is called heading. So that's actually complete information about the direction that you're going in space, traveling 29 meters per second at a 233 degree heading, 0 elevation angle. That tells you exactly all your information about your velocity. And velocity requires 3 numbers in order to describe it completely. It doesn't have to be the same 3 numbers to describe a given velocity, but it does require 3 numbers, and that's because we live in a 3-dimensional space. Let me show you an alternate way to write this in 3 numbers that is a legitimate way to describe velocity. You could say this is the east-west direction, right? You could say, well, let me just get rid of that. I'm traveling west, and at the same time, I'm traveling south. If I'm traveling southwest, that means I'm moving west, and I'm also moving south. And I did some calculations. This 29 meters per second to the south at this heading angle translates to 23 meters per second to the west and 17 meters per second to the south. So I could say that I'm simultaneously traveling 23 meters per second west, 17 meters per second south. And if I'm not going uphill or downhill, that means I'm traveling 0 meters per second upward or downward. So here's, again, 3 numbers. 23 meters per second west, 17 meters per second south, 0 meters per second up. That's 3 numbers that completely describes my velocity in space. So, okay, so that's a little bit about velocity. If your velocity is constant, then these 3 numbers will stay the same, right? But if it isn't constant, let's say you're traveling through Spaghetti Junction, and right when you get to the center of Spaghetti Junction, you tromp on the accelerator pedal so that you begin to speed up. And let's say that you press the pedal hard enough so that you're picking up 1 meter per second every second that you move forward. That means that 1 second later you're going to be traveling 30 meters per second down the highway, and a second after that 31 meters per second, and a second after that 32 meters per second, right? We say in that case that your acceleration is 1 meter per second per second. In other words, I'm changing my speed by 1 meter per second every second, and I'm doing so in that same direction. In other words, I'm gaining that much velocity in that direction at that rate. So again, this is another quantity that requires 3 numbers, 1 meter per second at a heading angle of 233 degrees in 0 elevation. So that's my acceleration. What if acceleration can also be the other way, right? What if I, instead of hitting the gas when I'm at the center of Spaghetti Junction, I hit the brakes so that I start slowing down by 1 meter per second per second. In that case, my acceleration would be this way. It may seem counterintuitive, but my acceleration could be in the opposite direction as my speed. And let me just write 1 meter per second per second. Now, 1 meter per second, do you understand these units? It's the number of meters per second that I'm changing my speed every second, so that's why it's 1 meter per second per second. But most of the time this is written 1 meter per second squared, because there's 2 seconds in the denominator, so they multiply by each other, you get 1 meter per second squared. So that is my acceleration. In this case, let's see, if this is 233 degrees, I think this would be 53 degrees. 1 meter per second squared at a heading of 53 degrees, an elevation angle of 0. That describes my acceleration in that case. So these ideas of velocity and acceleration are very important in physics, and we're going to be talking about velocity and acceleration. We're going to be doing some exercises having to do with velocity and acceleration. So acceleration is the rate of change of velocity, and there's one value of acceleration that's very well known to physics students, and that is the acceleration due to gravity. If I let this go, at first, when I let it go, its velocity is 0. Its speed is 0, its velocity is 0, and then after I let it go, its velocity starts to, it's pointing down for one thing, and it begins to accelerate. It begins to take on a higher and higher speed, right? The rate of acceleration of this is 9.8 meters per second per second. 9.8 meters per second squared. And this is, they just designate this usually by a small g. This is the acceleration due to gravity on the surface of the Earth. It's not exactly that, and it's not exactly the same everywhere on the surface of the Earth. It can vary maybe 0.5% from one place on Earth to another, because the Earth is not exactly symmetric. The gravitational attractive force of the Earth is not exactly the same everywhere. So it varies a little bit from one place on Earth to another, but it's approximately 9.8 meters per second per second. And that is the acceleration due to Earth's gravity. Now, a couple other things about acceleration. One of the other things I mentioned on the, just do this a complete circular road. In the reading, there was a drawing of a circular road with a car traveling around it. Now let's say the car is moving at 20 miles per hour. And it has a constant speed as it's going around this circular road. Even though it has a constant speed, this car is accelerating because it's changing its direction in space. And because, let me show you, a little while later, here the car is over here. Now, that 20 miles per hour is in that direction. The direction has been turning this way, and as it continues to go around here, the direction of motion continues to turn. And the acceleration is actually at a right angle to the direction of the speed. We won't talk about the magnitude of it, but when an object is moving in a constant speed in a circular path, the acceleration is always at a right angle. So the acceleration doesn't have to be in the same direction as the speed. It can be opposite of that if the object is slowing down. But it doesn't even have to be parallel to the direction. It can be in a completely different direction. Let me show you another example of the acceleration being in a different direction from the velocity and the speed. And that is when something's flying through the air. So let me just throw this. It's moving in an arc, right? It travels in a path something like that. And at any given moment, like there's its velocity. Later on it's that way, later on it's that way. Turns out the acceleration is always the same. It's pointing downward, and it's always 9.8 meters per second squared. 9.8 meters per second squared. 9.8 meters per second squared. So it's always downward because the only force on this thing, when it's flying through the air, is the force of gravity, which has the property that it accelerates something straight downward at 9.8 meters per second per second. Even if I throw this, most people, when you ask them what's the acceleration, right when it gets to the top for that one moment when it stops, most people say it's 0. No, it's 9.8 meters per second squared everywhere through this trajectory. It doesn't matter if it's traveling like that or vertically. The fourth concept I want to talk about today is the concept of force. Force is a push or a pull on something. So I'm now exerting a force on this whiteboard, probably a force of about 30 pounds that I'm pushing into that whiteboard with. Force is what makes things accelerate. If there is a net force on an object, then it will begin to accelerate. So this object right here is pretty heavy. Right now, it has forces on it. The force of gravity is pulling downward, but it's not accelerating, it's standing still. That's because there's other forces that counter the force of gravity. That other force is the force pushing upward by this table. It's pushing up with a force that's exactly equal to the weight of this object. The weight of the object is, of course, Earth's gravitational force pulling downward. So this has no net force on it. We'll be talking about net force more next time when we're talking about Newton's laws of motion. The net force on an object determines its acceleration. If I hold this up, if I let that go, I'm not going to do it because this thing will smash into the table pretty hard, but it has a gravitational force. If I eliminate the force from my hands, which are holding it up, then all of a sudden it has a large net force and it'll begin to accelerate that way. And it's force that causes things to accelerate. So again, we'll talk about that more next time when we talk about Newton's laws.